Thank you for visiting Past the Wire TV, the YouTube channel of PastTheWire.com. Ciao, everybody, and thank you for watching Past the Wire TV. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I want to start this video by saying I have been very fortunate on this show to have some really great guests and special people, and some wonderful conversations, and things that have never been spoken about before in the game have come out on some of the episodes of this show, and just had a phenomenal run of people that have been gracious enough with their time to come on Past the Wire TV, and I appreciate all of them, and I appreciate all of you. And every now and then you get one of those special conversations with somebody who's truly a special human being and just exudes an amount of a level of class and dignity and graciousness that we just see and too little of nowadays. Loyalty, all the qualities that we look for in a fine human being. And I have to say, Paulo Lobo is one of those people, and I am very fortunate to have had the opportunity to speak with him and bring his story to this show and to all of you. And I think if you watch it, you'll understand why. It's definitely a not to be missed episode, and he's definitely a gentleman that's worth getting to know a little bit, and getting to know a little bit about his career and what he's all about, and how he approaches training horses, and not just training horses but living his life. So sit back, enjoy the show. Thank you all for tuning in, and thank you, Paulo, for your time. It truly was a pleasure, and I think people are going to enjoy getting to know you.
Coming down to the finish, and it will be Matole.
The level of racing that he's achieved is extremely rare. The quality fields that he's beat, that's what makes him the fastest horse in the world.
The final time was a new stakes record. Matole, he did it again! Matole's a monster! Matole wins the sprint! Oh, what a horse he is! The mighty Matole!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Past the Wire TV. On this episode, I'm fortunate enough to be joined by Paulo Lobo, who is a remarkable horse trainer who kind of hit the racing game with a grand slam back in the Kentucky Oaks with a horse named Farda Amiga, and quickly proved that it wasn't a fluke, because a couple of months later, with that very same 3-year-old filly, he won the Alabama Stakes. He's heading into the Breeders' Cup this year. He's done some remarkable things in his career with other horses that we'll talk about, like Pico Central and some others, and his Breeders' Cup horse this year. But first off, Paulo, thank you so much for coming on Past the Wire TV, and it's a pleasure to meet you, because I've wanted to meet you since Farda Amiga won the Kentucky Oaks back in, what was that, 92 maybe?
2002.
2002, okay. Yeah. I'm way off then, all right.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank you the opportunity to talk to you and your listeners and viewers. It's going to be good.
No, it's my pleasure, and I remember the day that she won the Kentucky Oaks, and I'm a very honest horse player. I love to play the horses, but I'm very honest. I will say that I remember thinking after she won, and I think she paid like $40, $42, something like that, saying, who is this filly? How did I miss her? And who is this guy, Paulo Lobo?
Yeah, let me introduce myself, okay?
Okay.
I am the fourth generation of trainer of my family. My grandfather was a trainer. My grandfather was a trainer. My father is a trainer, and now I'm training. All they all worked in Brazil.
Okay.
And that's the country that I came from. And in 2001, I got an invitation to try here with a owner from Brazil, Julio Camargo.
Okay.
He just won the Latino-Americano yesterday in Uruguay with a very good horse. And he invited me to come to United States. But he was in the auction was in September 2001. And him and Marcus Simon, they bought five babies, 5 fillies in 2001. And from the auction, he called me because my father used to train for him and is still training for him after 30 years.
Wow.
And then that time I was working, I was training in Brazil too. And then he invited me and he told me, Paulo, if you come to America, I'm going to leave the 5 fillies with you. If you don't come, I'm going to send the fillies to Brazil. Then we are going to race, and then they are going to the farm after to be a broodmare. And right away, I jump in the let me put this thing on my dream, because since I started with my father in 1987, I started working with my father. I was 17 years old, and my father in that time was a very, very top trainer in Brazil. But I always wanted to come to America.
Now, go ahead.
And that time, after they bought the fillies, why I decided to go to California, because I thought for me that time, not knowing well the system, I think was going to be easier to be stable in California and not to travel too much.
Okay.
That's the first reason I wanted I began in California. And the second, I was thinking, if I had success, I'm going to have some Brazilian horses, some South American horses, and from owners, clients that we used to know in Brazil. And we had a very good South America results in California since Charles Whitgan, Ron McAnally, Richard Mandela, Bob Frankel. And then I thought, maybe if I start in California, it's going to be easier for me to learn the system. And luckily, I'm going to receive some South American horses. And exactly what I thought in Brazil happened.
You know, interesting, but was it in any way more difficult for you because you come to the United States 2001, okay, it's your dream since 1987. So now you live your dream and you win a race like the Kentucky Oak, which is one of the most prestigious races that the United States has. For 3-year-old fillies, it's the top of the game. It's the filly version of the Kentucky Derby for you know, all practical matters. So you come and you win a race like that. That had to put a lot of pressure on you, no, to continue. Now, how do I prove? How do I show I'm not just a like they say in the music business, a one-hit wonder? You know?
Yes. It scared me a lot.
Okay.
Always, since the beginning, in between the 5 fillies, she showed me right away. The first workouts that she did in Santa Anita, I thought she was going to be a superstar. And then she campaigned the 4 first starts were on the grass, right. But she always trained very well on the dirt. And then we went straight to the Santa Anita Oaks,
Right.
and she ran huge. If you ask Chris McCarroll, he can tell you.
Right.
After the race, he told me, Paulo, I ride this filly anywhere you want.
Wow.
And where you want, and any kind of race you want. And then after that, we pointed for the Kentucky Oaks, because she's a filly that used to come way off the pace.
Right.
And thinking with Chris McCarroll and my clients, she will like the longer stretch in Churchill Downs. And
now she was 20-1 that day. She was a big long shot. But did you think going into the race, knowing the kind of race that is and the kind of competition she would face, and also being new to Churchill Downs? I mean, she run good at Santa Anita. You knew she was a good, quote, California horse. Did you think you had a really good shot? What did you think your chances were going into the Kentucky Oaks?
I think I had, because if you saw the Santa Anita Oaks, she had a bad start, and then also she was badly squeezed, and she was way far in last, and then she came flying, and she finished, if I don't forget, about 2 lengths behind the winner. And then after the race, she improved training. Right. And I had Chris McCarroll work at her twice before the Oaks, and he used to tell everybody, you can ask him, this is the best long shot that I'm going to ride.
Wow.
Before the Oaks. And the rest is history.
And it's funny because, you know, a couple of months later, the Oaks is in May, the Alabama is in August at Saratoga. That's probably, I mean, some people might argue that's as an important race as the Oaks and as big a race as the Oaks. People from Kentucky would get very mad at us for saying that, but the Alabama it's right on a par with the Oaks. So to win the Oaks and then come back and win the Alabama, and yet at the Alabama, I think she wasn't exactly a favorite then either. She paid like $8, $10, I remember, something like that. But she won the Alabama as well. Did you feel then that, okay, I've established myself, or were you still worried that it was going to take more and more horses and keep it going?
Yeah, after the Oaks, she got sick at Churchill Downs.
Okay.
She had to stay at Churchill Downs for 2 weeks. I went back to California, and my wife stayed with her for 2 weeks at Churchill Downs. And she is the only filly in history to have won the Oaks and the Alabama straight. It's 3.5 months. Right. And you know how hard it is to ship and win and run good at Saratoga.
Yes, I do.
And was raining a lot, was a very bad track, off track. And she, because of her style to come from behind in that mud, and she had I think the name of the filly, a fast filly, All American Birdie.
That's correct.
Yeah, she was in the race, and everything went well, and she won the race. And then I was with my wife the day after, and now, and what's going to happen when I lose Farda Amiga? Because one day I'm going to lose Farda Amiga. And right. I had 10 horses, my barn only in California. And then came the Breeders' Cup. She was second for Achard. Mm-hmm. She ran huge that day. She clinched her title for a 3-year-old champion. Right. And after the race, she got injured. And then your question.
Right.
was very scary times for me, very scary, because now I was down with 9 horses at the barn.
Right.
And that, for California, not good horses, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And then, I don't know, my lucky, we work hard. We had the next year, Farda Amiga, Quero Quero, a Royal Academy filly. She won the honeymoon handicap.
Breeders' Cup, right?
Yeah. And then slowly by slowly, some more horses come to fill my barn. But I've never, the maximum horses that I used to have all the years that I was in California, 25 horses, at the most 30 horses in my best moment of number of horses. And then came Pico Central in 2004.
Right.
He's
he won the Met Mile.
Yeah, he won the São Carlos, the Carter, the Met Mile, the Vonsburg, all in the same year, shipping from California by Federal Express.
Yeah, wow. Federal Express.
Yes, because we were close to LAX, and I always wanted to go for his races very close to the races, and we used to ship him 3 days before the race to New York. He was a very difficult horse to gallop, and then that's why I want to be very close, the closest that I could for the race. And then we pick up Federal Express to do the job, and we shipped him 4 times in 1 year by FedEx.
Wow, I never realized that. Arkansas Derby, Gallego.
Yes, very, very good horse. Gallego broke. I am not a big fan of times,
right?
But he broke the record at Santa Anita and Hollywood Park for the 6.5 in his time. Was a very good horse.
It's amazing the resume that you have and the big races that you've won. You've won some of the biggest races: the Oaks, the Alabama, the Met Mile, the Oaklawn Handicap with Run for the Dough.
Run for the Dough, yeah.
Right, Run for the Dough. I mean, the resume, before we get to the horses now, going to the breeder, your resume is really a top shelf resume, and it's just impressive that you still, for some reason, fly under the radar a little bit amongst people when they talk about trainers. You've done a lot more than I would say you get credit for, and that's I think because you're a gentleman and a low-key guy, and kind of flying under the radar. What are your thoughts about that?
I agree with you. I am the worst salesman in the world. You're never going to see me calling a owner, calling a client to send me more horses. I think my father taught me one thing. I think the wire proves you. He always, since I started with work with him, don't talk too much. He always said to me, and let the wire proves your job. And then I'm not going to change my style. I am a quiet side man, and I don't like to be calling and asking. I've never asked a horse for one owner, and really? I'm not going to change it.
Well, I think that if I can say that, I think that if more people knew what you were capable of with horses, they'd be banging down your door. I'll tell you the truth.
Yeah,
And
I hope.
maybe the show will do that. Maybe that'll get you, we'll get you some exposure, because like I said, your resume, when you look at it, and I didn't even study it. I'm just going off the things that I remember, because I'm somewhat of a student of the game and I follow the sport. And, since you won with Farda Amiga, I've watched you, because I said, if this guy could win the Oaks and then come back and win the Alabama, he's got to know what he's doing. So I need to pay attention to Paulo Lobo, and I have for all these years. And that's how I remember some of these horses that you've won with. So it's been a remarkable run. Now this has to be okay, going from 2002. Now we're in 2021. You've got all these wins in the bank, so to speak, for lack of a better term, Paulo. You're coming into the Breeders' Cup this year with a couple of exciting horses.
Yes, yes, we are going to try to send 3 horses, and one for the mile and a half.
Right.
His name is Imperador.
Right.
Yes. Imperador came with In Love and Intraday. Ivar came before.
Okay.
Ivar came 6 months earlier. Ivar was a champion 2 years old in Brazil, in Argentina, and right away the guy sent Ivar. And the others 3, they took more time. They wanted to see how they would perform over there. And Imperador won grade 1s over there. And In Love always his trainer always liked him. Okay. He just won one maiden and one allowance race in Argentina, and I think he was 4th in a grade 1. And with the COVID in 2000 and the beginning last year, they decided to send the horses. And both horses, they run well last year. South America horse, they take some time to adjust.
Why is that? Why is that? I've always noticed a lot of times horses come from Europe, Great Britain, Ireland, even France, and they seem to acclimate quickly and run well right off the plane. South American horses sometimes seem to take a little bit longer to come around and acclimate. Why do you think that is, Paulo?
I think it's if you put a lot of small things, it's going to be a big thing, First, we are going we are starting the winter right now, huh? And then over there in South America, they are starting the summer. Okay. And then you see sometimes you have a South America horse here during the winter, where if you go to your barn, all your horses, they have long hair, you have to clip them. And you see a South America horse shining. That's not correct. They have to adjust that. And this is one thing that takes time to do that. Okay. And then another big thing, I think, is some horses over there still, they don't train with saddles.
Interesting.
Okay? Yes, they gallop with no saddle. And they put saddles only sometimes to work the horses. And then that's a huge difference.
Why is that? Why do they train that way there?
Because maybe it's cultural. It's long time they have been doing that. Some horses, you put saddle over there, the horses are going to be tougher. And with no saddle, over there, they have more control of the horses. Okay. And then the third thing that I would like to put is the design of the tracks here. Shorter stretches, sharp turns. Just you have an idea. We run the Pellegrini over there. It's a 1.5 mile race just one turn.
Wow. Okay.
It's like you break, suppose, it's like you break at Santa Anita the 7/8 chute.
Right.
In Argentina, it's a mile and a half.
Wow. Okay.
To see how big is the track. The last stretch is 3.5 furlongs. And then horses over there, they don't need to run in a hot pace like we need to do here. We need to run here.
Right.
And then we wait like kind of Europe. Horses, they are rated to show the stamina in the final of the race.
Okay. And very interesting stuff. Now, we've got Ivar coming off, not he didn't have an ideal trip in the, what was it, the Keeneland Mile he ran in, right?
Keeneland Mile,
Keeneland
yes.
Turf Mile.
Yes.
Didn't have the best of trips.
Yeah, could be a little my mistake because I came back with blinkers with him.
Right.
I knew that I was going to put a horse in a huge risk to do that because he was coming fresh from a long layoff with the blinkers on, but he was training like a horse that was looking for a blinkers. And that's why we put it. We didn't put a full cup. We did put a very small cup we call cheater. Mm-hmm. And then the first quarter wasn't so fast. Maybe that's why maybe also Joe Talman could sit him better or quiet behind like fourth or fifth. And he was a little rank and fighting with Talman for the first half mile. I think this is the main thing that cost him the second place. I think he should not won the race because In Love won easily, but I think he probably should have finished second.
Interesting. Are you going to run? Is the plan to go to the Breeders' Cup Mile with him?
Yeah, it is. He came back very well, and he did train last Saturday well. Very happy. He's eating. He's happy. Seems very. I think he took the race very well. And now I'm counting with Breeders' Cup because he didn't have a good year. And they count just the last year to get in the race.
Okay.
And let's see what happens. Let's see how many horses are going to be pre-entered. And let's hope he gets in, because if he does, I think he's going to run big.
Now, In Love, she's in. She got herself in.
He's an interesting history. He ran very good first time last year at Churchill, and then he won very impressively at Keeneland, a allowance, one other than. And then we stopped all horses I didn't go neither to Florida, neither to California. We stopped the horses here. We did kind of the guys do in Europe. We kept them at the barn, just little training. Okay. And then when he came back in April, he took like 2-3 races, to get the horse that he won in Keeneland. And then he's racing, when he won the second condition allows in Chicago, he make the lead and he stopped a little bit and waited. Almost the second horse came back on him, almost. He passed the horse very well, and he kind of waited. And then that's why we decided to put blinkers. And then, man, he won very easy in Kentucky Downs. He almost broke the record time. And now very easy again at Keeneland.
Yeah, and Kentucky Downs, I've always thought, is a very good track to get a horse in shape over. I like when horses run well, or even run over Kentucky Downs, then go to other turf courses. I think that's a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, and he proved that in the Keeneland Mile.
Now, have you decided who's going to ride him yet?
Yeah, Alex Achard is going
Okay.
to. Yeah, is going to ride In Love.
I have to say something about that. I kind of knew the answer before I asked you, and that's why I asked you. I wouldn't ask you and put you on the spot, but let me tell you what. When you told me about your dad and training for 30 years for the same people, that tells me something about you and your family. Okay? And I knew, just based on that and based on what I've heard about you and following your career as I have, that Alex got his first grade 1 on In Love. And I knew you were gonna, I just felt you would ride him back in the Breeders' Cup and not make a switch, when a lot of people would make a switch to a bigger name rider in the Breeders' Cup. And I would imagine your phone's ringing. And I know how the game works. People always try and, get those Breeders' Cup mounts. And I think that's a very classy, gentlemanly, sharp thing to do. And I commend you for it. And I'm not surprised. I knew from what you told me earlier that the answer was probably going to be Alex. And I wouldn't have asked you if I didn't think that, because I wouldn't have put you on the spot like that.
Yeah, he rode the horse 3 times and won all races with the horse.
Deserves to ride it. I agree.
Why I would change riders? And if you see the racing in both races at Kentucky Downs and Keeneland, man, what he did, he rode the horse perfectly.
I agree with you. And I will tell you this, a lot of people don't see it the way that we see it, but I will tell you this. If you didn't think Alex Achard was a good rider, you wouldn't ride him, correct? On any horse, right? You're not going to ride a guy who you don't think is a good. So you think he's a good rider. When you take a guy who is good, that gets along with your horse, and you give him an opportunity in the Breeders' Cup, as a fan of the game and as somebody who likes to bet, okay, I like to bet on that scenario, because I'll take a guy who's hungry and wants to prove himself and wants to get that Breeders' Cup win over a guy who's won 15 Breeders' Cup races already. I'll take the guy going for the first one, head and head down the stretch, punching away. I want the guy going for the first one, not the guy who's got 15 trophies on the wall.
First of all, he's going to give his life for the race.
I agree.
Second, the owners and the manager of the horse, they gave me all the power to keep the guy.
Beautiful.
Because, a lot of clients, a lot of managers, with all the pressure with the Breeders' Cup, would like to change rider.
I know, I understand.
Okay, and now I need to take my hat off for the owners and the managers to keep the guy.
And I agree. I agree. I commend them. I congratulate them on that decision. Loyalty and class are two things that in today's world, in my opinion, and not just in racing, in the world all over, but loyalty and class are two things you don't see enough of, and we need more of. And I think that's a fine display of it. And I commend you, your whole team, for doing that. I really do.
Thank you so much. Let me, 2 years ago, when I came in from Kentucky, from California, I brought 10 horses.
Okay.
And he used, more or less, was the same time he came from Europe.
Okay.
He was an apprentice in France. He rode all the tracks in France.
Right.
It's not easy over there too.
No.
He was riding with a very good riders over there.
No question.
And then he came one morning, he asked me to work one horse. He came second morning, third morning, fourth morning, 10th morning. And then he started to work some horses. And then he is based in Indiana. And then I told, my first horse that I sent to Indiana, you are going to ride. And he has been riding almost everything for me.
That's that's a great story. That really is. I hope.
And now you know what happened after the race. A lot of agents, they want him. He had a big invitation to go to be first call for a big training in Tampa Bay.
Okay.
One agent wants to take him to California. You know, and I think he's going to stick with me here at Turfway Park.
Wow, classy guy too. That's good. That's great. Now, you after the Kentucky Oaks and Alabama and some of the other success, did you go back to Brazil for a while, or were you here the whole time?
Yeah. I stayed here in America until 2010, 2009. Okay. And let me explain my situation.
Go ahead.
I had that time more or less 18, 20 horses, all between Three Chimneys. That time was TNT stud.
Right. Mr.
Gonçalo Torrealba used to own, still owns TNT, but now Three Chimneys. Júlio Camargo, Ara's old friends, and Marcus Simon, Studio Winner Silk. Those three guys in 2009, they wanted to quit here in America. Okay. And also in Kentucky, they used to have a lot of mares in Kentucky. And then from 20 horses, I was going to be unemployment almost. But Júlio Camargo, again, used to start with my father in 1987, I think. When I started as assistant for my father, he started to be a client with my father. And he invited me, Paulo, I'm looking your situation here. Come back to Brazil. You are going to be my private trainer with, that time he used to have a lot of horses. And you and your father, you're going to split the horses. And I went. And they are very close friends from Mr. Torrealba. And he let me as a private trainer just to train for Gonçalo Torrealba. Okay. And that's why I started in Brazil back. Okay. And I was very lucky. I had very good 4 years over there. I won the Brazilian Oaks over there. I won another 2 grade 1s, a lot of grade 2, grade 3 listed races. I had a good horses over there. But always here behind my neck, I wasn't happy because I always wanted to be here in America. And then show up in 2014, okay. show up Alberto Figueiredo. He is the general manager of Bon Chance and Stud RDI. Right. Those guys, they wanted to start a small operation in California. And then he invited me in 2014. And I jumped the boat again and I went to California. And then that's my second time in America. So the first time you came, you won the Kentucky Oaks, you won the Alabama, you won the Oaklawn Handicap, you won the Honeymoon, the Arkansas Derby, Met Mile. Now you come back, you win the Keeneland Turf Mile, the Shadwell Turf Mile, the Kentucky Downs race, and you got your eyes set on the biggest of them all, the Breeders' Cup. Yeah, I am very lucky. I'm very lucky because I always train. I could have in my barn 15 horses, but one was a real deal, Right. I always have this lucky. And I struggle a lot. I did struggle a lot when I went back to California between 2014 until 2019, 4 years, almost 5 years. They were very tough. I used to have 8, 10 horses for all those years. And also we had Editori, 2 grade 2s over there, Pretty Gal. She lost by a head, a grade 2 in Del Mar. And then again, Alberto Figueiredo, they bought a farm here now, Bon Chance. They didn't have a farm. They bought a farm, and then he invited Paulo, let's go to Kentucky because we are going to have more horses. And maybe you stay in Kentucky. It's going to be easier for us. We can concentrate all horses with you. Otherwise, if you were in California, they would only send the good horses to California, not all horses. And having the beauty here to run in many tracks close, Alberto invited me, Paulo, let's go to Kentucky. I'm going to give you all my horses to you. And then you are going to have A, B, C, D horses. And then you choose the tracks you want to run. And then with Bon Chance came Brownwood Farm. And last year, because Mr. Larry Best campaigned Cambiar Park, she's a Bon Chance bred. That's why he met me, because Cambiar Park. And he told me he liked me the first time we spoke, and he told me, I'm going to send some horses. And then he sent me 3, I won with 2, and then he sent me another one, we won with another one, and now I have 10 horses for him. Wow. And then, yeah, that's good. I have 45 horses right now, and probably is going to be my best year here in America.
Especially if things go well in about a week and a half, then it's really going to be a hell of a year. Let me ask you something, Paulo. Tough question. When you had those couple of years in California, and I know how rough it can be for a trainer, and it's even rougher, I think, when you had the kind of success that you had. You follow me? Because if you're a guy who comes and, you come from South America or somewhere else and you've been working hard and you never really got those grade 1 type of wins and grade 1 type of horses, you kind of get used to the grind. But when you've had that and now you're fighting just to keep the stable going with only a couple of horses, that's got to be really, really tough. What kept you going? What was the drive? What was the motivation? What was it like going in the car early every morning and heading to the barn without the kind of horses that you really wanted and the running in the races that you really wanted to run?
It's easy answer. I have a beautiful family behind me.
God bless.
A very strong wife. You're going to make me cry.
I don't want to do that.
And was very difficult. And to tell the truth, one day I was thinking to apply to work for Uber.
Really?
Yes. Not quit training,
but to
I was very glad my wife was working well. She was making a good money for us, but it was very tough. And one day, more than one day, I'm not going to quit, but maybe drive some Uber maybe to help, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought about it.
Paulo, you are a special man. I will tell you that you're a special man, and your resume and what you've done with the horses that you have speaks for itself. And you are an example of, I don't want to say the American dream, because I think it's more than an American dream. You are just an example of what hard work, dedication, the love and support of family, the love of what you do, where it and the talent that you have, obviously, where it can take you. From thinking about, hey, I may have to drive Uber, I may have to do something else just to keep training horses, and I'm willing to do that a couple of years ago, not long ago, and now 3 horses looking at the Breeders' Cup amongst the best horses in the world, going in with a real chance and going in with the kind of horses that can win. And as a trainer who's already proven that on the big stage, you can compete with anybody. You've proven that. You don't have to prove that. You've already proven that. We don't know how a race is going to turn out. We don't know what's going to happen on November 5th and 6th. You know, horse racing, I always say, horses humble everybody, you know?
That's one of the biggest truth in horse racing.
They humble everybody. No matter how good you are, how much you know, eventually they will humble you.
You could have a huge year, and next year you're down.
Exactly. But you've proven you can do it on the biggest stage, and you do it the right way. And I think that's so commendable. I feel privileged to have you on the show and have been able to meet you even this way. I would have preferred in person. I'm going to be at the Breeders' Cup. Hopefully I could see you and shake your hand, because it would truly be a pleasure. And I hopefully I'm congratulating you, but it's already congratulations just getting there. I mean, just having the horses there and getting the recognition and the kind of people behind you now that are seeing what you can do with a racehorse is phenomenal. It's well deserved and well earned.
Thank you so much. You know, in 2017 back, I had 10 horses, and Mr. Benjamin Steinbrook from Brownwood,
okay,
he was going to retire a 7-year-old mare. Her name is Generosidade, and came from Brazil, a veterinarian. She was with another trainer, and they were going to retire her. And the veterinarian asked Mr. Benjamin, no, let's give her the last chance. And then they gave the filly to me, and she beat the boys, the São Luís Rei, a mile and a half at Santa Anita. And you see, when you have a good horse in your hands, of course you have to do a good job, but it's easier. It's easier when you have a good job than you don't have. A good horse than you don't have.
Absolutely. But there are people that have there are people that get the best out of their horse, and there are people that don't, you know, I mean, you know, you could give me the greatest horse in the world, and I don't think I could break their maiden, because I don't, you know, I'm not a trainer. You have to know, you know, you have to know what you're doing. You have to know where to run the horses. Obviously, you are running your horses in the right spots, because you're building up these graded stakes wins, one after the other over time. So, you know, I think one of the talents of a trainer that gets overlooked is knowing where to run your horse, what level, when to run in those graded stakes, when not, when to back off.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's a whole package, né? You have to. That's the beauty here in around here in Kentucky. As I told you, you have a horse A, but you have a horse C that needs to go somewhere a little easier spot in Indiana or in Ohio or even in Chicago. That's the beauty. That's the beauty here to train here. We can afford to do that.
Right. Now, pressure-wise, you're on the big stage now, Breeders' Cup coming. When you went into that Kentucky Oaks, I don't think it was that kind of pressure because you were 20-1. Nobody knew who Paulo Lobo was. Now, people know who you are. You're coming in, you know, with the horses that people expect to run well. More pressure?
No, of course there is a lot of pressure, but when you know your horses, and I always say, when your horse gets to the race, the way that you think, the way that you plan, the way that you want, I think that's I think it's easier. Horses, for instance, all three horses, they are doing very well right now, very well. I am very calm. Now it's up to them also, né? Okay. Also, lucky race, I believe a lot of that, I think, happens. A good ride, a bad ride can happen too, you know. A bad trip, a good trip. But I think I'm very calm. My horses are doing very good, and then I'm happy. I'm going happy there.
When you prepare a horse for a race like the Breeders' Cup, okay, do you do anything? Is there anything that you prepare differently than just say a normal stake race or an allowance race? When a race is that important and that competitive, do you train a little harder? Do you back off, or do you just do level the same thing?
No, I think it's very individual.
Okay.
It's very individual. For example, after all the pre-races, I followed two trainers. I try to follow more two trainers. My father, and I used to follow a lot Bob Frankel. Okay. And I used to talk a lot with him at Hollywood Park. And I think he was the master to get, you know, prepare a horse. We are now in September. I'm going to run the Breeders' Cup. He was the master to do that. And I think it's very individual. Some horses, they need more. Some horses, they don't need too much. Right. And then that's the beauty of to be a trainer. You know, you have to balance.
I'm glad you brought that out about Bobby Frankel, because I wanted to ask you that. Is it as important as I think? See, I think it's important for a trainer to point for a race and have a horse peak, run their best effort on a specific day. And I think, I could be wrong, like I said, I'm not a trainer and I don't know what's in everybody's mind, only people I told, but I think there are trainers that, I want to explain it right, that it just, every race, their horse is all out. Every time they bring them over, they're all out, as opposed to pointing for a race and peaking for a race. And I think, and I would like to know your opinion, I think that you have a better chance of winning a race like the Oaks, like the Met Mile, like the Breeders' Cup, if you're the kind of trainer that points for a race and makes their horse peak that run their best race on that given day. Can you talk a little about that? And if I'm wrong, just tell me no, you're wrong. It's all out.
No, you are totally right. 2 examples. In Love, I had In Love in June. I wasn't thinking Breeders' Cup. When he won in Chicago, he barely won the second condition allowance, and then suddenly, oh, he showed up. He woke up with blinkers, and then Kentucky Downs, Keeneland, and now maybe 4th or 5th. Maybe he's going to be 8-1, 6-1 in the Breeders' Cup, 4th or 5th favorite. That's a horse that I didn't do the plan
Right.
late back in June. The opposite side was Ivar. Ivar ran in May and had a problem. He had a split bone in the cannon bone. It's a very unusual for a 4 years old. He was 4 years old and he had a split bone in the cannon bone. And then we had to stop at him. But we planned all year to try to get the Breeders' Cup. And he was getting ready. We couldn't run in Kentucky Downs. I didn't want to ship him for the first race coming back. And the last option was the Keeneland Mile. And I think he ran very good. He was ranked. He didn't have a good trip. Turning for home, he was badly bumped from the horse inside. Maybe worth a disqualification that moment. Cost him some, that trouble cost him some momentum. And that's the horse that we have been planning all year to try the Breeders' Cup. That's the opposite what happened with In Love.
Right. Interesting. But they're both there and both live. So
yes. Let's hope he gets in the race.
Yeah, I hope he does. I hope he does. Paulo, it was such a pleasure to talk to you. You're a gentleman. I really enjoyed it. I don't want to take too much of your time. I thank you. You're very generous with your time.
You made me cry.
I didn't intend to do that. I apologize. I apologize for that.
Because you were the only guy that went deep on the, deep on the thing.
Well,
my first time, one guy wanted to know and asked what happened, and I would like to thank you to do that.
No, I've always found you to be a very interesting man because I'm a student of the game. So when you won with the Farda Amiga, you got on my radar, and I watch you ever since. So I always wonder, what happened, where is it? And I knew you could train because I saw not only her win, like I said, the Oaks in the Alabama, then I saw all the other horses in Arkansas and New York and the Met Mile and the Arkansas Derby and the Oakland Hen. I'm like, this guy, he's somebody to watch. So I was always curious about you. I'm a student of the game. I just like to know these things. And then after talking to you, and you told me the kind of family you come from, and I saw that there's that loyalty and that you stuck with Alex and everything. It's very admirable. I'm glad we spoke. I feel fortunate to have gotten the opportunity to know you.
Thank you so much. I have to thank you for the opportunity.
No, thanks at all. I'm going to shut it off now unless there's anything else you want to say, and then we could say goodbye off the camera. Okay?
No, I think I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, you are good.
I enjoy it a lot.
You're better than good. Better than good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
nobody does it better.